This is another one of the Q&A videos about in Russia. This time we're talking about the shooting and our time in Russia itself, like the cold, Moscow parties, language problems, all the fun stuff. There's timestamps in the description, and if you're interested in the other parts of the Q&A, you'll also find the links down there. Let's go.
A question from Alex. What was the most hostile environment you have ever shot in?
Yeah, I don't know how to interpret it. I think we can do both ways. What was the most hostile in general? I think we would all agree on which one that is. That was on the trip to Ethiopia, which was in the middle of. And the other is like probably what was most hostile in Russia.
For me, the most hostile was in Murmansk, I would say, because it was just so cold. And when we shot the time lapse, especially the lighthouse time lapse, it was so cold. So yeah, that was it for me. Like in like relating to the Russia trip.
Yeah, the question is really formulated pretty generally, and I think it does make sense to really just tell that in between where we're shooting in Ethiopia, all of us, and we shot at the Danakil Depression, which is basically the hottest still inhabited place on Earth. That was like around 50 degrees Celsius or whatever. That felt hostile, like where I really see the word makes a lot of sense. You get out of the car and you really feel this can be very unhealthy for you and the technical equipment. Like I remember some of us at some point just like we can't move anymore. We just have to lay down, and it's just not possible anymore. Anyways, but what I would say is that when you're working and also with technical equipment, I think cold is always easier than hot because you're doing something and you can do something against the cold as well with heat packs and with like good clothing. But heat is just a bitch, to be honest. It's you can't really do anything against it. It's everywhere, and you're just out there and have to deal with it. So I think in terms of that, Russia was fine, I guess.
Yeah. Next question is from Kevin Schmalz. Who had the best winter jacket?
Tim.
That's me. That's definitely me. I had the best winter jacket. If you have seen any behind the scenes photos on our Instagram channel, I was a winter jacket.
Enrico asked, what was the biggest challenge?
I think for me, the biggest challenge was definitely the battery situation in Kamchatka. That was the biggest challenge.
Understandable.
For me.
Vincent, did you have any challenges?
I would say, as we said, temperature probably generally was the biggest. I think language was a very big challenge. Overall, sometimes to just really make the film and just to convey ideas to other people around us, I think was difficult. Even sometimes with our fixers, it's like it was never perfect. So I would say we struggled with that. And I think where it materialized both of these things, like cold and language, the most was when we were living with the Nanyat family in Salehat, because both of our guides basically left us there for the night too. And I did learn Russian like on Duolingo for a couple of months, and I had to do like the most basic things, like can you turn on this light or whatever. It's just it was weird.
It was a lot of nodding and smiling.
We were there for a whole night in a little tent with like people who we could absolutely not communicate with. That was just strange.
Then Enrico had another follow-up question. What was the biggest surprise for you guys?
I think the stuff which happened in all the situations in Kamchatka were like, because I think this is the really the only place where we went and we were like, okay, this nature and this landscape looks so amazing, let's go there. But everything what happened there, the people we met, the burning road, meeting these two young girls who were super nice, probably the biggest surprise for me, what happened there. So
yeah, I would also say Kamchatka. I think Kamchatka is a weird place because it's so amazing, but the photos and the videos that you see before you go are not as good.
Mhm.
And I think it's the opposite that I know, for example, from Iceland. Iceland is amazing, don't get me wrong, but it's photographed by probably the best photographers out there in the world. And Kamchatka is not like that at all. For most of the stuff that I saw before, I was so surprised how big and massive and outer worldish it looks. I think that was the first surprise in Kamchatka, and I think the second one for me, you also alluded to that, is the people there, because there were tourists other than us, but they were all Russian, and especially in our camp, they were 90% female.
They didn't look like
It was
the tourists that you would suspect there.
They were all super nice and fun, and like just laughing while we were like crawling around these crazy caves, and it was a really cool experience, but nothing I expected.
Yeah. And I didn't expect the camp to look like this, actually.
Yeah, it was so nice. It was so comfortable. Also, what came to my mind when I read surprise was, do you remember when we were in this weird, like, Fisher town,
Oktyabrsky.
when we were just casually walking around and shooting some stuff, and then we kind of walked into this back alley, and then this huge dog came around the corner and hunted us. There was a surprise as well. Sometimes huge dogs just come and want to eat you, but fortunately he was chained, so we lived. We still live. So next question comes from Yauhini. What was the most challenging in Russia when shooting people?
Is he referring to like shooting with people, or is he referring to like running around, run and gun, and shooting people in Russia?
Could be. Yeah. How was that?
I mean, did we shoot any people without asking?
Yeah.
Lots of Moscow, lots of like in the subway, lots of stuff. On the party, we basically shot everybody just like randomly.
But yeah, it wasn't very challenging. I think that's the wrong word. I think it's the same like everywhere.
Oh, and Oktyabrsky.
Let's call it Okti.
We actually did film a lot of people there, and we were kind of like weirded out in the beginning, like how this is gonna be. I remember that.
True.
Because you were also running around with your easy rig.
Oh,
the only one time where you did it.
The only one time.
And then just suddenly these like 3 Germans run around their town, but everybody seemed like super nice.
Okay, so Ryan asked, any close calls out there?
I know one that Tim never knew that it was a close call, but I would say, like, looking back at it, it was kind of close, and we even have it in the film where you shoot the guy drifting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't know why, but I felt super secure.
I have on my notes here.
I don't know why.
Drifting wasn't as safe as we felt. So yeah, that was kind of accurate. Like when I watched the footage, also like we were super excited about this. We were so pumped, full of adrenaline. But yeah, there's one shot of Tim where the car drifts really closely.
If this would have been a normal shoot with client, agency, whatever, I think I wouldn't be standing there in the middle and the guys were drifting around.
Also, I just remembered I got lost in a lava cave once, but
I forgot about that. That was great.
True.
But yeah,
oh my god, yeah, that's a close call.
Yeah, it was fine. I found the exit, and then everything was fine. So yeah. Rimmer asks, how many times have you regretted coming?
We have to add here, you guys probably don't know that, Rimmer is our dancer girl from Sparrow Hills.
Nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's Rimmer. Hello, Rimmer.
Hello.
Thank you.
Shout out. Hello, Rimmer. No, I never regretted
me
coming.
neither. I mean, there were certain times that I like was pretty uncomfortable, but I
me too.
didn't regret anything. Okay, so Cologne View asked, how did you shoot the hyperlapse?
It was a very challenging one because usually what you do in a hyperlapse for everybody who doesn't know is basically a moving time lapse where you take pictures. After a couple of steps, you always take a step and then take a picture and then another picture. And you do usually is take something that you focus on, that you always have in the middle of the picture, and then use the grid in your on your screen to have that in focus all the time, which didn't work for this hyperlapse because it was very long and the perspectives always changed with all the buildings, and because sometimes one building was covered and then you kind of lose your spot, and it was a little bit just by gut feeling where to focus on. And I think, as far as I remember, I always did 10 steps and then 1 minute waiting or something. So the whole thing went over 4 hours. Funny thing was that Mooks was always kind of like somewhere close to me while I was shooting this. And especially in the beginning, we surprisingly passed a music video shoot.
I do have some footage of that here. So yeah, here you can see the set. They were half-naked women involved. Also, some very young people as well. You can see this a very probably inappropriate age.
So internet, do your thing. Find this
Yeah,
video.
send it to us.
And
Yeah,
show
that
it
would
to
be
us in
nice.
the comments. Yeah, what was shot there? That would be
there's
so
actually a
good.
police car passing by, and they don't care. So next question is from Catherine. Oh, your sister.
That's my sister.
Hi.
Hello, Katrin.
She asked, is there a sequence or shot that you are specifically happy about?
Yes, I think the sequence in the storm when we've been with the Nenad family, that's really something I'm super happy about. I just went out with a camera, and the dad of the family always did something outside, like his daily business. And I went out and I saw him standing there in the storm, and I just shot it with a camera. And really immediately as I shot this, I thought, wow, this situation here is so great. That was really, yeah, I was super happy about this situation. Do you guys have a sequence or a shot you are specifically happy about?
Vincent?
I think, I mean, I told you guys earlier that I wanted to shoot at Baikal. Like, that was the first picture that I got. And immediately also the first idea was, what a great ice skating rink that would be. And I know it's a very kitschy scene in a way, but it was also one of the first ones that I thought about. I know that it's very hard to organize, and thank you everybody involved that we actually made it happen, because I mean, it's just very far away from civilization. But I think everything was awkward because we couldn't really communicate.
Sitting in a hovercraft.
The trainer was there. It was in the hovercraft. Everything was a little bit strange, and then she just started dancing, and I just saw this on the screen, and I was just like, "This is so beautiful. This is just amazing." Like, I was just super happy about the whole thing, and just, I guess, yeah. To have that idea in the beginning and then see it through after all these months, and you're just there and see it happening actually in front of your eyes. It's just
yeah. So for me, I don't know. I didn't really have like a sequence or shot, or maybe for shot it would maybe be the top shot of the hovercraft. You know, where you can see all the patterns of the snow. That was one of my favorite shots, and we had a little bit of trouble like finding like a spot for it in the edit, but otherwise not really. So Kate asked, tell me about the most beautiful day in Russia during the shooting process and why.
I think just personally the nicest day was the day when the guys started burning the road.
Oh yeah.
Was ist denn los?
And I'm not saying that particular moment, but the whole day was just so amazing. We did
So nice.
we did the hikes in the morning. We did Medway driving with his like crazy music. And then we had like in between, all of a sudden, this super calm moment where we're walking up this hill and had a wonderful sunset over this crazy landscape, and then this whole burning road thing happened, and everyone got drunk, and it was
and also coming back to the camp, and everybody was sitting around. It was like playing guitar, singing songs,
performed,
trying to communicate. Well, alcohol helped. We could communicate after a few drinks of alcohol.
Anton is not a cook, but he can sing and play guitar.
Мы рады встрече, но если кто-то нездоров, то мы ответим, что мы без докторов болезни не лечим. Бокалом доброго вина, так добрый вечер. Привет с большого Баду.
Kate also asked, tell me about the worst day in Russia during the shooting.
The worst day was for me when I got sick in Moscow. I think I was in bed for a whole day.
Probably
was it 2 days?
I
don't know. I think it was I got sick. That was pretty much the worst day in Russia for me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But about shooting, I don't know if there's
No, about shooting I couldn't say either. I remember a little bit the actual day when we shot the police guys in St. Petersburg. I'm not talking about the shooting itself, because that was pretty cool, but the rest of the day was pretty shit. We had to walk like through the rain. You guys remember that for a very long time, and then wait for the cab, and then get back, and then get to the airport from there. And it's just like the whole day was not fun.
Marina and many others asked, why did you include the episode with two military men who look like they are going to kiss? Vincent, why did you?
Why did you do such a thing? During my research, I found something on the internet. It is a photo by two men called Alexander Shaburov and his fellow artist Vyacheslav Mitsin. I'm probably butchered those names. I'm very sorry for that. But this is the picture. It was inspired by Banksy. So we were inspired then in return by them. It caused quite the ruckus in, I think that's 2008. I think it has cultural significance in some form.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it as a political comment or anything like that, but it is our nod to this, I think, rather great work of art.
We didn't just shoot these guys in front of the satellite dish. 50 meters next to it, we found like a little forest where we almost got the exact shot we just showed there.
Yeah, so we did replicate it, but then in the end we kind of decided to get the one with the satellite dish, because it just kind of looked a little bit more awesome. But I did find some people in the comments already like knowing what the reference was, and I was very happy about that.
So kind of referencing to that, Lucas asked, are there more subtle political messages I might have missed?
Again, I would like to add that for me, this is not really a political message what we put in there. I think it's a cultural or reference or a commentary about societal issues and not necessarily about political. But of course, the boundaries in this are vague. So however you define it, you could say the limousine on this parking lot could be not a message, but a commentary about Russian society as well, or Russian politics or Russian culture as well. And then you can do that about a lot of pictures. But we did not make any political messaging or something like that. We and even with that picture, we're just referring to something that happened in Russia as a political or cultural statement that they did. We're not making our own messages.